Thank you so much. Our Open coverage continues here at Royal Birkdale in Southport, England. The 50th time the Open is being held in England, the 10th time for Royal Birkdale, where golf has been played since 1889, and where today 156 of the game's best are in the final hours of preparation. Call it the prologue before the drama.
He's played just 2 rounds in 2 majors in 2017. He hasn't won at all this year. His last major victory came 3 years ago. Among the questions at Royal Birkdale, will they break loose? Or will someone new break through yet again? And of the 7 straight first-time major champions, who's most likely to make it 2? Experience handles uncertainty, rolls with it, bounces off it, rides the wind whichever way it blows, and doesn't mind going off script, carving shots, not just blasting shots, seeing shots, not just striking shots. Maybe that's why so many winners of the Open have been seasoned players. At the game's oldest championship, where wisdom is rewarded. Will anyone really grab the mantle? Or is the free-for-all going to continue at Royal Birkdale and the 146th Open?
Morning Drive, presented by Rolex.
And good morning. Welcome into Morning Drive. It is Wednesday, July the 19th, the year 2017, on the eve of the 3rd major championship in the men's game, the 146th Open, golf's oldest championship, and in many ways its most distinctive, with yawning pot bunkers, brown and yellow fescue grasses, and those ever-changing winds. The blue skies from Tuesday are gone. Today, dark, cloudy skies. We'll call it battleship gray as we welcome you to Royal Birkdale. Damon Ack alongside the 1992 Open runner-up in John Cook. Great to be with you, my friend. Wednesday, it's interesting. All the smiles from Monday and Tuesday, they're gone.
Oh, yeah, they're gone.
It's almost game time.
It is almost game time, and Wednesday is all about prep for tomorrow. Am I going to play 9 holes? Which 9 holes will I play? Will I play 18? What time do I tee off tomorrow? What time am I going to eat? Now it's all about, you know what? It's about relaxation, getting your brain relaxed. No more golf talk. When you go back to your place, no more golf talk. That is a #1 rule. Let's get ready for tomorrow. Let me relax a little bit.
Well, one thing people are talking about, it's the weather. It happens every year at an Open, and we're going to expect some weather this week in this 146th Open. We saw some blue skies on Monday and Tuesday. Today, some gray. Tomorrow, it's supposed to be a decent day, but then on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we're talking about rain. You see the % chance right there, and a possibility on Friday, Cookie, of gusts of up to 40 miles per hour. I don't even know how you prepare for that kind of golf.
Well, you just can't, and it depends on what the direction is and on how these golf holes are going to play differently than in practice rounds. Yesterday was sunny and warm. The ball was going. Today it was warm. Ball still going. A little bit heavier air. Clouds coming in. Different story starting Thursday, and then the weekend it cools down. Heavy winds. Just throw that game plan right out the window.
Spent some time on the putting green earlier as we check out Sergio Garcia, the Masters champion. And it's interesting. There are still a lot of people getting some work done today, Cookie. I know you used to talk about players. You don't want to, wear yourself out on a Wednesday. But here are guys, they're still working on their game, maybe tightening things up. Tightening
things up is what they're looking at. Still getting a feel for the green speeds, getting a feel for where their stroke is, how the ball is reacting. You come from the United States, you have to learn the different grasses here. If you've been at the Scottish, it might be different paces, pace of the green speeds. But you do know weather's coming in, and you've got that tracked. You've got that in your mind on where the wind's going to be blowing from. Everybody's got an app now, so you know what the wind's going to be blowing. Today was out of the east-south east, out southeast. Tomorrow will be different tomorrow. So you're just trying to get used to how is the ball going to react.
How about Sergio specifically? I mean, you would think he'd be playing almost with house money this week. He broke through, won his first major championship. His record in this championship is phenomenal. 5 top 5s, 10 top 10s, runner-up in 2007, co-runner-up in 2014. And he has not really stopped since winning that green jacket. Tied for 30th, tied for 20th, tied for 12th, tied for 21st.
Yeah, I like it. I like his chances. I think the hangover from the Masters is done. Everybody's said their congratulations. Everybody is shaking his hand, telling him, great job. And he's actually played quite admirably since the Masters. He's had a number of good finishes, a number of good scores. I think that when it's time for the for the gun to go off and it's time to get to that first tee shot, Sergio's ready. It would not surprise me if he's right there on Sunday.
Also happening now, Cookie, an interesting story about the golf course itself. The 9th hole, players were basically aiming to the 10th fairway, and the RNA has decided that there's going to be an inside out of bounds and basically prohibiting players from doing that. I know you were on the golf course earlier. Did you even see a strategic way to play that hole down the 10th?
I'm looking at my yardage book here, and I went out to the 9th tee, and I was wondering what were they talking about, and all I saw, literally, you see the 9th tee box there. That grandstand is behind the 8th green, and that is the exact route you have to take it to get down to number 10. And you got to get that golf ball up in the air. Then all you see right there, that's gorse right there. I think for me, I would rather know exactly where that fairway goes down number 9 than all the unknowns going down number 10. You might hit it, you might gain 10, you might gain 15 yards. I just don't see it. I couldn't see any way possible to get that golf ball on the fairway down number 10 to your approach shot to number 9. So whether they need an in course out of bounds, I don't think that's much outside the box. There's players that we've had on during my career that have thought that way. Bobby Clampett sure would have thought something like that. Lon Hinkle did that in Toledo at the U.S. Open at Inverness.
Maybe Bryson
DeChambeau might be that guy that thinks a little bit outside that box. But standing on that 9th tee, no chance would I have even thought that. Or if I knew that, no way would I have gone that way.
It's interesting talking to the players this week, a lot of them talking about angles and how you have to be smart out here and how this golf course really asks maybe the toughest questions that they see in an Open, maybe the fairest test they see in this great championship. We have 2 hours of coverage for you today. We're all leading up and excited about Midnight Drive tonight and the coverage of the first round of the Open at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a great championship. We're all excited. Right now, we send you back to studio and say good morning and good afternoon to Gary Williams.
All right, Damon, John, thank you very much. And, Charlie Reimer, we're sitting here and we're looking at this beautiful thing. Now, to the players, it may not seem beautiful, but it is the defining design feature of this golf course. Revetted face pot bunkers, they are perilous.
I absolutely love them unless I start hitting them in there, because it's once you get in these bunkers, it's a whole different deal. And so what we're going to do, Gary, is we're going to take a look at the 15th hole, the first par 5 on the golf course, and I'm going to show you guys just how important avoiding these bunkers actually is. So when you have a look at 15, it's a pretty generous fairway as we get into this landing area right here. Let me freeze it and point out you got basically 2 nests of bunkers you got to worry about, up on the right-hand side and right there on the left-hand side. Okay, so if you take a club that takes these bunkers out of play off the tee, you're about 240 to stay short of that first bunker. If you do that, you're going to have 280 into the green. Essentially, it turns it into a 3-shot hole. Now, if you try and put it in the chute right here, you got about 310 to carry the last of those bunkers. But if you pull that off from that 310 point on the backside of that bunker, it's only 210 to the front edge. So if you hit the good drive and you challenge those bunkers and you squeeze it, it's going to be an easy birdie. You might make eagle. But Gary, you know what happens if you hit one of those bunkers? You can't advance it up the fairway at all. You're going to have to basically come out sideways, maybe even backwards. So it's absolutely critical that you know where these bunkers are and figure figure out a way to avoid them. Okay, so let's say you've hit it in the rough off the tee, either right or left. You've avoided the bunkers. Here's another nest of bunkers right up in this area that you've got to deal with when you're laying up. And I'm telling you, you don't want to go here, you don't want to go here, you don't want to go here. And if you're trying to lay it up in this sort of sweet spot right here, that's perfect. You're going to have somewhere between 125 and 140 yards to the front edge of the green. But again, even in that distance, if you hit it in one of those bunkers, you're not going to, unless you get really lucky with the lie sitting up and towards the back away from that revetted face, you're not going to be able to put the ball on the putting surface. You cannot win this championship if you hit it in these bunkers very frequently.
Okay, now let's give you an example of how penal these bunkers can be. Now, this is not Royal Birkdale. This is 1995. That's Hell Bunker. That's the 14th hole at St. Andrews. That is the greatest major champion of all time.
Can't get out.
And it took him 4 strikes of the golf ball just to advance it sideways. Jack Nicklaus very rarely showed a temper on the golf course. And he was quoted as saying after this that he was not hot, he was frustrated. He looked hot to me. By the way, he made a 10 on that hole. You know what he did on the next hole? He made birdie. And he birdied the 18th. That's why he's Jack Nicklaus. Now, Gary Player is a 9-time major champion. Listen to what he would give as advice in terms of how to approach playing out of these pot bunkers.
This tests you. You hit a ball in a bunker, you've got to play out backwards. I've seen numerous players hit the ball in the bunker, try and get out. If they played out sideways, they would have done better. So this tests your mind far more than any tournament that I know of.
So, Charlie, let's contrast that with some great bunker shots from the fairway we've seen on the PGA Tour in the United States. 2011, Steve Stricker hits that phenomenal fairway bunker shot, makes the putt, and denies Kyle Stanley a win. This may be the greatest shot Tiger Woods ever struck.
Billy Kratzik was standing there calling that shot live, and he told me it's the best shot he's ever seen his entire life. And Billy's about 90 years old. You know, he's been around for a long time. But the difference is unbelievable. I was standing in the fairway in 2000 when Tiger hit the last hole of the RBC Canadian Open. That ball took off of that bunker, 6-iron, straight up in the air, right at that flagstick, water everywhere. It's a very different philosophy, bunkers in the United States. If you hit it in a fairway bunker in the United States, more often than not, you're going to have a chance to play a shot. So that makes players a little bit more fearless off the tee than they have to be with these bunkers that literally are one-stroke penalty if you hit them in there when you start playing links golf, especially the great links golf courses that we see in the open rotation.
It gives you an example, Charlie, of really the origins of the game. Those bunkers were intended to be a penalty. And they truly are.
They are, and the bunkers started with areas that sheep would gather on cold nights and hang out, and they're low areas. And so what happens, Gary, is the actual bunker itself might not be an area but about this big, but because it's in such a low area, when the golf course gets dry and things are firm and fast, the ball funnels into
gathers into all of these
absolutely.
bunkers.
It's like a little black hole of death, and you do not want to go in there at all.
That will be a big part of the story, certainly this week. And again, we are on the eve of this 146th Open. And with that, let's send it out to Carl Robinson.
All right, Gary, thank you. Yes, good morning to everyone back home in America. It's the afternoon here, and I'm delighted to be joined by our European Tour insider, Anna Whiteley, a regular contributor now on Morning Drive. Anna, I know you've been here for a while. You got in nice and early, as did someone else, the 2014 Open champion, Rory McIlroy. Of course, that miscut in Scotland was his third in his last 4 events. Struggling with a bit of form, but what did the early arrival at Birkdale do for him?
Well, that's right. I'm sure it hasn't been the most ideal run-up for him coming into the Open, but he seemed really positive and really relaxed when we caught up with him on the Sunday. He was reflecting on the fact that it's 10 years now since he won low amateur back in 2007, and he said it took a while for him to understand and really appreciate the Open. Back in 2010 at St Andrews when he shot that 63, and then the following day he said we got blew off the course with an 80, so that it's been quite a journey for him with the Open, and winning back in 2014 just down the road 1 hour in Hoylake, so back on familiar territory for him. And obviously with injury, he said it needs a bit of a rest. His back could do with 3 or 4 months off the game so he can put the clubs down, but he said it's manageable. He hit 100 balls the other day, felt a little bit weary afterwards, could feel the aches and the pains, but it is manageable. So it's Rory. Anything can happen with him this week.
Interesting though, pressing on with an injury that he is having to manage. And you're right to point that out, because you can forget how close Royal Birkdale and Hoylake, Royal Liverpool really are. It's honestly not far at all. Let's turn our attention then to the defending champion. Of course, last year's champion golfer of the year, Henrik Stenson. He too is not really, admittedly, in his best form that he was in this time last year. But you had a pretty cool trip recently, didn't you? You took the Claret Jug to his hometown in Sweden. What was that like?
Yeah, it was an amazing 2 days. So we went to his hometown. We went to his very first golf club, Gullbringer, where he first found the game when he was about 7 years old. And we met his childhood friend, Pontus Eriksson. And they used to build huts in the woods together. They used to play street hockey. He said from day one, Henrik was the most competitive youngster that he had ever met in his whole life. And it was actually Pontus who took up golf and said, "Hey Henrik, do you fancy a game?" when they were such young kids. And that's how Henrik got into the game. So everyone there is so proud of bringing the Claret Jug to Sweden for the very first time. It was so emotional talking to the coaches who have coached him through teenagehood. And yeah, they were just so proud. And Pontus, as you can imagine, having known Henrik for 35 years now, he was very emotional talking about it. And it was just a wonderful trip.
Because you forget, of course, Sweden have had huge success with the likes of Annika Sorenstam and stuff, but no one really had broken through like Henrik had in the men's game until last year. Someone who the local fans will be hoping breaks through this week is Tommy Fleetwood, of course. He grew up here in Southport. This is really a real hometown event for him. How is he dealing with the pressure, I guess, of playing what is a home game?
Yeah, I think for Tommy, he said it's all about not even thinking about the fact that he will have so many friends and family in the crowd, because as he said, it's 2 miles from where he grew up here. He used to sneak on as a kid and try and play this course as much as he could, but he hasn't played as much as people think. His dad walks the dog around the course every morning. His face is splattered all around his hometown Southport, which he said his family just finds so weird. But he's trying not to think about the pressure, and he's in the form of his life just off the back of a Rolex Series win in France. So he is just so excited to get out there, I think, and being in home grounds in front of friends and family, it doesn't get better for him.
Yeah, I saw this really cute video that he posted on Twitter. His old school, his primary school, posted a video with all of their current students wishing Tommy Fleetwood good luck in the Open.
Yeah.
He said, well, he brought my fiancé to tears, even if it didn't bring him to tears. But
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll have a lot of people cheering on. Anna, thank you.
My pleasure.
It
Thank
sounds
you very
like the
much.
European contingent is as strong as ever coming into this week's Open, and we're now going to send it back to Orlando and say good morning to Chantal McCabe.
Good morning, Cara, or good afternoon over there in England. Well, everybody is excited for the 146 Open, and we are too. So are the players, and they're sharing their stuff on social media. We're going to start off with Justin Rose. Of course, we know how he took Sergio Garcia all the way to the deep end in the Masters earlier this year. Sergio has been wearing that green jacket ever since. He says, I've got my right arm in the jacket. Justin Rose, what a battle he had to the very end. And Sergio Garcia getting his first major championship victory. Jimmy Walker having some fun. Say no to pot bunkers, but you can say yes to hitting some balls with friends, including Ricky Fowler at the beach. Hey, they're having fun. They're making sure this week is the best week of the year. Well, let's give you a peek at what's still to come on this Wednesday edition of Morning Drive. World number 1, Dustin Johnson, has not played a competitive round of golf since the U.S. Open. Hear from the man himself about his game, his preparations in his 9th start at the Open, coming up next. Plus, a story you have to hear about how a former champion golfer of the year got his career kick-started with a speeding stop. It's a little bit bizarre, but I promise it's the coolest story you're going to hear all day today. David Verity takes us through it all. And a signature dish, a tradition in England, fish and chips, gets a taste test by our own crew on site at Royal Birkdale. I know for a fact that Cara enjoys the meal, but what about the rest of our crew? What will their reaction be to this English food? Well, stay tuned to find out. And Morning Drive is following all of the storylines, getting you set for the 146 Open. We'll be making a late night special appearance for the kickoff of the Open. Join us to celebrate in anticipation for one of the most important weeks in golf. Morning Drive, one night only, tonight at midnight.
Jordan Spieth has been called many things. The prodigy, the golden child, the future. But since his last major win, many questions have arisen. What happened? Will he win another? What's next? Well, it's time to find out.